Hello everybody and welcome to one more video on big units, and this time is something that I wanted to do for a long time. This is the Slovak fast brigade. It was not a particularly performing unit, not because of course that its men didn't have enough value. The problem, it was not valued generally. The problems with units that underperformed was things like equipment and command and control, eventually tactics and general strategies. And this is the case. This unit is a unit that helped Germany to not this unit in particular, but this army, the Slovak army, invaded Poland together with the Germans. They employed around 50,000 men in that invasion. They were rewarded with some territories from Poland after that. Then they went with the Germans in the Soviet adventure, which, as everybody knows, went very bad. This unit is participating in several battles. It was a well-balanced unit of infantry, tanks, artillery, so brigade level unit. Then it was later expanded to an infantry, mostly to an infantry division, because its tanks were withdrawn, because in fact they could not face very well, obviously, the 45mm anti-tank guns of the Russians, the 75mm guns of the Russians. So in fact, the Soviet artillery was too strong for this kind of lightly equipped unit filled with trucks and light tanks, at least light tanks considered by the Germans like that, and in fact they were, and so they participated mostly in the year of 1941 in the months of June, July, August. Later on, this brigade was turned into that division that I told you, an infantry division, due to its casualties in armor. Another particularity of this division, not only being balanced in the three arms of artillery, infantry, and tanks, but also it had, funnily enough, several squadrons of fighters and a squadron of reconnaissance vehicles. So it is a very decent unit, as you can see here, with plenty of stuff inside. In my opinion, for instance, a little bit too less infantry, reminiscent maybe of the habits of the British at the beginning of the war and things like that. I don't know. So not very well supported with infantry. And maybe that caused some problems to the unit. But in fact, the factor, for me at least, of attraction to this unit is the very nice camouflages of its tanks, mostly tanks. They were also painting other vehicles with this three-color scheme, as you can see here, and also this very attractive blue band painted on the helmet. Which is something that also, I mean, at least for me, is the kind of important detail. You can see it everywhere, even on the cyclists, things like that. I mean, and where can you find this? Obviously, on the third supplement of our master Richard March regarding the scenarios of the Russian front. Around page 10, if I'm mistaken, yeah, page 10, you can see here the order of battle for the battle that you can find here. Lipovich battle. You can find here the order of battle of the Slovak. It is an order of battle tailored to counter the Soviet defenders, because in fact it was not only this that the brigade had. There was also all this. So I made a mix of both. There are still a few things missing, like some trucks, some engineering things, but not much. The teeth, the main stuff of the brigade is already built. That's why I'm showing it. So let's take a look at another thing. You can also get tempted, and I did, of course. And I thought one of these days I have to do it because of this page. First page of color pictures on the book is detailing somehow the Lipovich battle and the blue bands on the infantry, the very nice camouflage of the tanks, some very funny fighters, a little bit old stylish fighters, but well, it's what they had. As I told you, this was not a particularly heavy unit, and with much modern equipment. In fact, the modern equipment was in its artillery, namely the 105mm gun, which was one of the best in the world by those days. And I'll show you how I made them. And another challenge of this big unit is the fact that many decades, many years ago, when the book showed up, there was only Reventop, which is an amazing, very good brand, of course. Nowadays, unfortunately, harder to get in Europe because of Brexit and customs and all that, and time that the things stay in the post office before arriving to your house, and when they do, you're already doing something else. So for me, Britain, England, United Kingdom became a little bit almost not. I'm not going to say a forbidden place, but I mean a more difficult place to get. So I waited until other ways of getting this unit could emerge, and they did when First to Fight showed up a few years ago from Poland. First to Fight came, very good small kits, 1/72 scale, obviously. First, I think they introduced the Praga truck. Then slowly by slowly they placed the LT-35. Then they placed the LT-38. I think probably with this order. And when you have these three vehicles, the Praga, the LT-35, and the LT-38, you feel somehow, I mean, emboldened to make the unit. The rest, I mean, was, for instance, plenty of 3D printed models. From Poland. I also ordered them from Martola. I mean, this kind of 3D printing, 3D printing. Sorry, I already saw it in other places. It's a question of buying, obviously, the files in order for them to be printed. So I added some almost impossible to get in other ways vehicles. I scratch built most of the artillery, as I'll show you. I even scratch built some of the trucks. Otherwise, it would be extremely difficult for me to have them. And that's it. And even the cyclists were, as I'll show you. They were scratch built and built in made in resin after being copied from mostly from Hat Industries cyclists. Also, the reconnaissance vehicle is also First to Fight, and it was my first model that I had for my Slovaks. And this thing is a W. What is the name of this thing? It is what is the name of this thing? I really can't remember now. Something. Oh, AVZ 30, something like that. Okay, now let me show you the way to get all this stuff, at least in my perspective. Let's start with the infantry. So for the infantry, there is no Slovak infantry. I mean, nowadays you have it in resin, in 3D printed resin. But I mean, I found a different way to make it, and I used you can see it here, and I used the Italian Alpini Esci infantry. Let me see if I can focus. Okay. So by using directly the Italians, you can produce some very reasonable Slovaks. For instance, the machine gun, they didn't have machine guns. Slovak infantry didn't have, so I scratch built some ammo round what is the name of the thing? Round the cartridges, blah blah blah. You know what I mean. I mean, in order to copy to make somewhat the Italian SMG to look like a PPSH-41, a Soviet captured gun. So some of them have this gun. Others are using the normal rifle, which is a little bit the same everywhere. So, and this is the way I made my Slovaks. Most of them are made like this. Artillery was different, as I'll show you. And for instance, here in the artillery, you can start to see plenty of Ottoman Hat Industries figures. You can see them here. So for the heavy machine gun, I used the Revell World War I 08s with Ottoman no, two of them are, the one to the left and in the middle are Rebel World War I Germans with new heads. I think most of them I used the paratroopers, Eschi paratroopers head, which fit very nicely for the Slovaks, because the Slovak helmet is not undulating on the rim, so it is a straight line, and the World War II British paratroopers helmet fit very well on their heads. This one here to the right is Ottoman with that head, as I'm telling you, and it happened to a lot of them. This machine gun is also very, very similar to the what is the name of the gun of the? It is a, I mean, I don't know, I don't remember. One of those VZs, WZ, blah blah. Slovak, not very easy to memorize things. For instance, the same happened with the machine gun, with the light machine gun. This is the Breda 30, Italian Breda 30, converted into a VZ-24, which was the Slovak light machine gun. The ammo strip came from the side and it was glued on top, so it looks like the VZ-24. Okay. The mortar was made from Ottoman infantry with the paratroopers heads. Sometimes Rebel Marines heads also, with a matchbox, I think, mortar. Then let's continue with figures. For instance, you see another company here detached to the one of the reconnaissance groups. And in fact, let me present you, before anything else, let's go to page 10 again, and let me show you how is this thing organized. So there is the brigade headquarters here, there is the mixed infantry battalion here, with some artillery, of course, that's why it is mixed. Then you find here the 11th artillery regiment here, okay. Of course, Slovak air support, of course, that you can also see here. I'm reading from our master's book. The mixed reconnaissance force is here. He's here. Mixed reconnaissance force is here. The first tank battalion is here. All right. And the second mixed reconnaissance group is here. Okay. The engineer company also is right here. Continuing with infantry, look, when my Italian Alpini Eschi figures were at an end, I started to use the Italian and Japanese with those heads that I mentioned you before. So paratroopers heads, namely for some of them, or were they? No, they were built directly. No, for instance, if you paint the rim, sorry, let's try to focus, okay? If you paint the rim several times with your blue color, it becomes that straight line that you need for the Slovaks. And with some extra shovels and backpacks, a little bit like Simon soldiers did with their French engineering figures. So it became some more or less convincing engineer figures. There is a guy here, which is this one here, with a flamethrower, and the figure I used to make the flamethrower was the Afrika Korps Eschi figure, because in fact the Slovaks use this kind of one-piece suit for their flamethrower man. Okay, it's like that. Let's go into the trucks, for instance. Trucks. You have, of course, those Martola 3D printed resins that I mentioned you. There are the Tatras, which are very nice models. Then you have these ones, which are Skodas, the big Skodas to tow the larger guns. In fact, they were built from the Opel Blitz model, and they look extremely, they look, for me, in my opinion, of course, they look a lot with the Opel Blitz. Instead of 4, they have 6 wheels, of course. There are plenty of transformations here, plenty of changes in the engine, in the tarpaulin, in the canvas cover. Plenty of changes, but it became very, very close to the Skoda model of the. Let me tell you the name. The Skoda what? Skoda. Oh, these are the Skoda 6ST6L. It could be something easier, in fact. Yeah, but it is not. So trucks were made like this. More Tatras here. More Skoda. More Tatras. More Tatra here. There is, of course, an invader here. Something like, I don't know if it is COVID or whatever. It is this guy here, because this guy pretends to be, this is in fact a Hot Wheels car, kind of, I don't remember the name of this thing. I found it on supermarkets as usual. I repainted them as Slovaks. I placed this vertical structure, whatever. And it looks like what is the name of that thing? With another Tatra car. That should be... In fact, I'm not even sure if, as it is Czech, there is a second kind of Tatra what? No, I don't remember. Sorry. And this it becomes very close to that Tatra. That I'm not really sure that it existed in the army. I know it was used by the Germans. It was a car that killed a lot of officers, apparently, as far as I could read, because it was an extremely unbalanced car, but it was fast. As it was made in Czechoslovakia, so I presume that it may have been used by the brigade, but I'm not really sure. But it stays here because it's something Czech. Now for the artillery. Artillery is my favorite part because everything is converted. Let's start with the smaller guns, which are the what is the name of this thing? This is the VZ30, 100 millimeter VZ30. So it is Ottoman Hat Industries, AJT or Hat, whatever you want to call it. Soft plastic guns turned into the WZ30s 100 millimeter guns. So plenty of scratch built structures, as you can see. The seat, the shield is completely different, and there are other small structures inside and outside. And the figures are also the Ottoman figures with the paratroopers' heads, and it becomes quite close to the original. It is one of my favorite conversions that I made in the last few months. Same happened with the VZ35 105 millimeter guns, heavier guns. This was, in fact, as I told you, one of the most modern guns that the Slovaks had. The Germans were hurriedly dispatch a number of them to the Normandy coast and to the defensive line in the Atlantic Wall, a little bit all over France, and it was a very good weapon. I used some 122 Zvezda guns in order to have these bases. Yeah, I think I did. I used what did I use from here? Very little parts. I ended up by using also some irregular miniatures, legs, parts from those Russian Zvezda guns, pieces of plastic, and again the figures are, some of them transformed, I don't know from where, I don't really remember some of them. Others are obviously the Ottoman infantry with paratroopers' heads. And there is another one here on this mixed force here. Let me remember the name. This is the mixed reconnaissance force. There is a third piece of artillery, which I made 4 of them. You can see it here, and here, and also here. The tank battalion, which is the the WZ-39. This is their standard anti-tank gun. So it was made from some plastic wheels that I had around, and the rest is scratch built in evergreen. It became pretty close to the original. Again, the infantry is the same story of the Ottoman with paratroopers' heads. Became close. Tanks now. Tanks, okay. So tanks is everything is first to fight. So this is an LT-40, a conversion from the LT-38. Lots of plastic, lots of different parts. Tank commander from Shan Miniatures. It became close to the LT-40 that you can find, if not mistaken, in the tech models. Much more expensive than this one, so that's why I made them. I needed two of them, so I used this the LT-38 as a basis. There is also the LT-35 here. These tanks are very nice. I remember having them from Eshi. I don't know where they are by now. Somewhere in a garbage hole or something like that. Somewhere in the world, I don't know where. But I remember looking at this and finding it some of the most enjoyable tanks of World War II. I don't know why. So the LT-35 and here the LT-38. Here they are. Okay. Let me check if I forget something. Then you have the OAZ blah 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 car. Very nice car also. A little bit old stylish car, but well, it's what they had. And the figure is an Airfix German paratrooper, because the helmet of these guys, of the tankers of Slovakia, looks a lot with the helmet of the German paratroopers. Finally, you can see here some, not final, finally, let's see if it is final. So I used the German hat industries to make the two companies of cyclists. I copied them in resin, blue stuff first and then resin, and here they are. There was an added rifle on the back, of course, a new head that was placed after the figure was molded. And here they are, all fancy and very nice with their blue helmets, which makes them extremely, in my opinion, extremely interesting. Here they are. It was also great fun to make these things. So let me see if I forget something. For instance, you have the Tatra 82 with the 20mm gun. Everything is coming. It's 3D printed from, I think the brand is ERP, if I'm not mistaken, and it came from Poland, like together with the other two Tatra small cars. So Tatra 82 with the 20mm anti-aircraft. I think it's a Oerlikon, if I'm not mistaken. Again with Hat Industries crew. And I think I've showed you everything. And the last thing is obviously the aircraft. So the aircraft is the Avia 534. This one was an old kit that I had in my stash. It was quite handy to start to make the Air Force of the Slovak Fast Brigade. This one was offered to me by Alan McCoubrey. It was a nice surprise when I got it, because I could, in fact, represent the two squadrons of fighters that they had. And also, Alan McCoubrey also sent me this Letov 328 with some Hasegawa crew that I added. It became a very nice model. It was used for reconnaissance, this one. And there was a squadron of them also. So more fighters than reconnaissance vehicles. And I think I've showed you everything. Yeah, I think everything is shown. It was a very enjoyable unit to make. If you want this book, you can find it nowadays on the Rapid Fire website in Informatic as a file that you can then you can download, print, whatever you want. There is no more physical books, I think. Maybe on eBay you can find it, I don't know. But most of us rapid fighters are already also rapid firing for many decades, so probably most of us already have it. So hope you have enjoyed the Slovak Fast Brigade, and see you next with another big unit. Bye bye. Ciao.